Welcome to the Why Aren't You Famous podcast with your hosts, me, Ellen Cherry, and sitting across from me,
Andrew Grimm.
Hello, Andrew Grimm.
Hello, Ellen Cherry. Are you adjusting your volume
Yes,
there?
excuse me. It's just your voice was so... Is the
so
word
sexy?
mellifluous a word?
Mellifluous.
Mellifluous.
It's buttery.
It
buttery
is.
and smooth while it does its thing.
Anyway.
Oh, that's right. Go ahead.
How's it going today?
Yeah, that's not a nice question to ask me.
Why?
I'm
You're
really,
my friend.
I'm really... I don't know. Maybe you need more enemies, Ellen Cherry.
Yes, so when I arrived, let's start there.
Okay,
When I arrived, because I drove out to Westminster to our recording studio for this podcast at Grimble's house, and I was listening to one of the most amazing bands to ever come together.
June Star.
Yeah. XTC.
Oh, they're really good.
Yeah, right?
I
think they're going to go far.
This might be their year. If the Beatles don't put something out.
No, that was the Zombies. This will be our year.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, back to Peter Pumpkinhead, which is what I was listening to on repeat. And I just thought about, like, there's a line in there that he says he made too many enemies and, they nailed him to a cross.
Right.
But I don't want to go that far. But I was thinking about it and I was like, do I have any enemies? And I was like, I'm sure I have some enemies, but maybe I'm not doing enough radical work that I need more enemies. My work isn't radical enough. I haven't created enough haters.
Yeah, I mean, you should be go like Rad Cherry, Ellen Radish.
No, you're missing the point.
Am I missing the point?
Like, I'm not pissing off enough people.
Ooh.
I'm being too friendly. And then it led me to think about, while I'm sitting there driving, like, that I have been conditioned to be polite because I'm a female in America.
Well, maybe, or perhaps, just perhaps, I'm just going to say.
I'm politely listening to your response.
You're not going to like it.
How do you know? Don't prejudge me.
I'm not prejudging. I'm acknowledging the fact that I know you. How's that?
Wait, who are you?
This is not my beautiful house.
You're not my beautiful wife.
Can you turn down your gain just a little bit? You're in number 2 down.
This one?
No, down.
Here?
Yeah, over.
Here?
There you go.
Okay.
Just a hair. There you go.
This podcast is engineered by Ellen Cherry.
Yeah. Yeah. Who has many enemies. No, I think your work, it's not about the work being radical. I think it's about the fact that your work is about acknowledging right now the portraits type of idea is about opening a conversation. I don't want to say about women for women type of thing, but it's about the inclusivity and sharing with women rather than rejecting, judging, becoming enemies with women, unless you're talking about becoming more enemies with men. But I think all women are enemies with men. Right? But I mean, I
think in general, I just want to be known as a person who has
enemies. Because you want your life more difficult?
Because maybe that should be part of the inner life of being a woman, is just like, why don't I have more enemies? No, I don't. I think there's plenty of people who have lots of enemies and their lives aren't difficult at all.
Like who?
Sociopaths.
Well, those aren't enemies.
Those are just people.
Those are the sociopaths don't have enemies. They only have themselves, and they're their best friends or their mothers, I suppose. But beyond that, like, they don't have enemies. They probably view other people as just things.
So speaking of enemies, today's topic is
the local, regional, and national effect of fame.
Yes. Oh, was that what we were supposed to write about?
No. I want to gently remind the audience that when we write these essays, it's about fostering a conversation more than anything else.
Oh, whoops. Okay.
So that gives us some wiggle room.
Yeah.
To kind of go off on different types of things and maybe not be 100% on point all the time, Because Why Aren't You Famous is all about, like, well, why aren't we famous? Well, because we're not focused. Because we're writing these essays like really last minute,
This one took me a while, and I had to write a couple versions of this particular essay. The future episodes may not be the same, but this one I wrote a couple of times, and I'll be honest, I'm critical of it, even having done like 3 versions of it.
Ooh.
Yeah. On different topics. Like, I wrote 3 different essays, and this was the final one that I was just like, well, I hope this gets me some goddamn enemies.
Okay.
I'm just joking.
Fair enough. No, you're not joking. She's serious, ladies and gentlemen. If you could see her eyes right now.
My eye.
Well,
My left eye only.
She is Left Eye. She is Left Eye Lopez of the Baltimore scene. There she is.
Don't go chasing waterfalls, everybody.
No, stick to the rivers and streams that you know so well.
Oh, that you know. Yes.
Yeah. I never liked that song.
It wasn't their best.
It wasn't. That was like I guess what Left Eye Lopez died soon after that, right?
I don't think that the two things are related. But unfortunately, she did pass from this mortal coil. Maybe one of her enemies.
No, they were driving and where were they? Were they in Costa Rica or they were in South America, I thought.
I believe that she was killed in a motor vehicle.
Yeah,
Accident.
the Jeep ran off the road and went down an embankment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cars. We got to watch out for them because they are our enemies.
Here in my car. Safely.
That is not a TLC song.
ATLC, what's that?
A TLC song.
Oh.
That's the... Oh, sorry.
Jeez.
Sorry, listeners. I just distorted. Here, I'll start that as phrase over so you can edit it out.
Okay.
That's the band that she was in.
Oh, TLC, Tender Loving Care.
Tender Loving Care.
Right.
Just such a nice thing to name your band. Anyway, back
to... Well,
to...
it was T-Boz, Left Eye, Lisa Left Eye Lopez, and Chili.
Yes, Chili. I can't believe you pulled that out of the recesses of your brain.
The recesses of something.
So, local, national, regional fam.
Yeah.
I can't decide if we should listen to my essay first or yours. Like mine to get it over with, or if you're feeling like super great about yours, maybe we should finish up with that, like to end on.
I think we should start with yours.
Okay.
It's okay. I mean, there's no judgment here. We'll save that for the internet. I'll save my judgment of you for when you're safely in your car driving away, and then I go down to my internet cyber dungeon, and where I'm a 5th level wizard, and I'll start typing on my computer and saying, "Alan Cherry is the worst essay ever."
What kind of incantations do you have to do to get into that voice range?
Oh, Borgen, Storgen, Lorgen. Now I'm sounding like the Swedish chef from.
I hope that other people are enjoying this pointless meandering.
I don't think it's pointless. We're getting things ready. Okay, well, we're gonna listen to your essay.
Okay.
And then we'll meet back in just a moment.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
When I was 14, starting high school, I was around 5 feet tall. By the end of that school year, I was 5 feet 7 inches tall. I remember that it hurt my bones to grow that fast, but I also remember a distinct feeling of unexpected visibility. People would comment on the change. I was suddenly taller than a lot of my friends, and for several years I would slouch to compensate. I felt aware in a way that I had not before that I was a person in a body walking through the world and that other people could, in fact, see me. I kept getting taller until I reached my current height, which is 5 feet 10.5 inches tall. Even after all these years of walking around this body, it may sound strange, but I can tell that I'm finally starting to embrace the height. A few years ago, I was hired by a local recording studio to help write a jingle for a TV affiliate in the city of Baltimore. The producer wanted a jingle centered around his tagline that was simple and positive. It was called "We Are Baltimore." The challenge was to write and record something like a pop song, catchy and brief. I wasn't the first pick for the writing team originally, but I was glad to have the work and interested in the challenge of writing a jingle for television, which was something I had never done before. It was supposed to be a short campaign running only a few months to promote the TV station by showcasing brief shots of the city of Baltimore and shots of citizens participating in the tagline by saying, "I am Baltimore." You can see it on YouTube. The producer liked the jingle and said, "Hey, do you want to be in the spot? We can shoot it like a music video." And I said, "Yeah, why not?" I had never been recorded by a professional TV or film crew in this way, and although I had had makeup done for photo shoots, I had never had high-definition television makeup done, and it's different, in case you didn't know. The We Are Baltimore campaign was set to start airing in April, but we did the video shoot itself in February on 2 of the coldest days of that year. The first day it was 13 degrees outside, and the second day it was 11 degrees. The producer had asked me to dress in what would have been good late spring or early summer clothing. The crew of 8 to 10 people amazed me. They were out in the cold, probably 10 hours each of those days, and there were never any complaints. After hours of shooting on that first day, all the while pretending to sing to the track, it was decided that I needed to hold my breath so that the condensation from my breath would stop being visible in all of the shots. We basically started over. Fingers frozen on my guitar and sucking in cold air with each note. It was very dreamlike. It was strange to be the center of all this attention, with people rushing around between shots to readjust light, hair, and touch up makeup. Thinking back, I remember telling myself, this is what dolls must feel like. The campaign was scheduled to run for 4 months, but it ended up running for over a year and a half. Every once in a while, I would get an email or a text from a friend who would say, "Hey, I saw your spot on the news tonight." I haven't really done my due diligence in pursuing radio play in this town, and so it was a nice little lift to hear that something I had worked on had made it onto a mass media outlet like television. A year after the spot aired, as the campaign was winding down, I was sitting with a friend at a restaurant in Baltimore City. It had been a long winter, rainy and depressing as it often is in Baltimore, and so it was one of the first nice days to be sitting outside eating a meal. A man sitting at a table close by kept turning around and looking at me and my companion. I mean, 1 or 2 looks can feel flattering or friendly sometimes, like someone is checking you out or just trying to share a smile, but this was staring and looking and staring and looking and staring. So I tried to avoid eye contact. After about 20 minutes, when I was mid-bite, he called over and said, "Are you Ellen Cherry, the We Are Baltimore girl? You look kind of like her." I have been seen by a number of people in the context of performing, but I have always felt a comforting invisibility when walking around my town. I'm not holding a guitar, I'm not singing. To me, I don't look anything like the person in that video, especially when I'm just sitting around. There is a distinct difference in my mind of how I look on stage and how I look in regular life. His comment sparked in me a moment of sudden realization that even though I didn't feel like it, I was actually very visible, and I shrunk away from it. I slouched. There's not much more to the story. I got recognized once more on the street about a month later. Some dude walking across the street from me turned and yelled at me, "Yo, Ellen Cherry! We are Baltimore!" all the while doing some air guitar. Looking back at that moment at the restaurant, I sort of wish that I had embraced that visibility, that height that I had reached.
That's a really good essay.
Thanks.
What are you talking about? You're like, it's so good. I don't like myself. Blah blah blah. Why can't I? Yeah.
I know. I'm working on that in therapy. The negative voice.
Yeah, the negative voice. No, that's a really good essay. There's some really cool things you talk about. Like the one thing I really like is that idea that it's not real. Like the reference to being a doll. Like, this is what a doll must feel like, which is kind of funny because dolls don't feel at all unless you have some sort of scary, like, possessed Annabelle doll that, I had one of those once.
Did you?
Yeah. It did my taxes all wrong.
I think those are sociopaths.
Oh.
So they don't have feelings.
Well, I have my cats. They have feelings. But the essay is really good. I remember that ad campaign, and I don't distinctly remember thinking, I was like, oh, that Ellen Cherry, she finally made it. But I remember seeing it and going, oh, well, there's that video.
Yeah.
All right. And I was like, oh, they looked really good. And, you looked warm. You didn't look like you were cold at all.
I was freezing my tits off.
Okay. Good to know.
Freaking cold.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But then there's that idea of, like, the anonymity that you and I so richly enjoy in our musical careers. There's something to be said for that. But then in the same breath, there's something to be said for taking an opportunity.
Yeah.
When an opportunity is presented to you, it's like, oh, how do I like, embrace that or reject it, or how can I use that for the next thing? Mm-hmm. And without feeling like I'm selling out or being, I'm not being true anymore to artistic vision. And a lot of times when I'm approached by people who ask me to sign a CD or something like that, I'm always like, oh yeah, I'll sign that. I'll sign anything. You know, you got a parking ticket. I'll sign that. I'll sign. You know,
I'll put my name on it.
Right. You got a deed to your house. I'll put my name on it. I don't care. But it's always that it's always really nice for recognition in that way, because there is that kind of small little piece of validation there that is, it's this glowing orb of wonderfulness that you're like, well, I'm going to ride that for a couple of days.
Yeah.
You know?
And especially that specific, I'm glad you brought up that specific interaction between a fan who either brings the CD that they bought or buys one and says, oh, are you signing them? And you think, because you've done it a bunch of times, I feel like I've done it not hundreds of thousands of times, but
millions.
Every once in a while when you do it, and just you talking about it right then reminds me that it's special to me thinking about it now, but in the moment for the person who's asking for it, there's a little bit of belief that what they're getting is something that is like, makes it even more valuable, the artifact more valuable.
Right.
The thing that we complain about, the fact that people don't buy anymore, that you can't sign a digital download.
Oh, well, no, I'm going to try.
And that momentary belief or hope that the person, that I've felt that way towards people I've asked to sign my records.
Yeah.
When I met Donovan and he signed a couple, I opened for Donovan.
Did you sign any of your records for him? She said, let me return the favor, Donnie. My cousin Donnie,
No, it's not an invitation to your cousin Donnie.
Okay. Oh. Well, I signed so many CDs at this point, I just went ahead and got a rubber stamp. I'm just like, oh, you want me to sign that? Douche. Here you go, Jack. Enjoy. I'm kidding. I always bring a Sharpie though. That's kind of like the rule, I suppose.
So,
yes.
Are we gonna listen to your essay? Are you finished talking about mine, or am I finished? I don't even know.
Do you need more validation for your?
No, I don't need validation.
Well, okay, but it's the local thing. Like there's this idea of the effect of, not the effect of fame, but the idea of local recognition. And you were nominated for a local Emmy, weren't you?
Yes, we were nominated for a capital Emmy for that. We did not win, but it was an honor.
Just to be nominated. Did you go to the dinner and ceremony and stuff?
No.
Why not?
I did get a certificate, though, that said that I was nominated for a capital Emmy.
Oh, very cool.
Which is really cool. Yeah. It was really, really cool. And it's fun to use that as the beginning of my bio.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm very specific about it. I'm just like, I don't have to say capital Emmy. I just say Emmy.
Emmy. Well, it's true. It's still an Emmy.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Enemy nominated.
Yeah, right. Enemy nominated.
Soon I will be enemy nominated.
Yeah, she's the worst. I wholeheartedly do not endorse her.
People be like, who is that? No, it was an interesting experience, and it led me to open for Boys to Men at the Maryland State Fair, which was also an incredible experience. And it was also a hilarious, humbling experience, because at the State Fair, they took 2.5 hours to sound check because they were checking to tracks, and all the tracks were messed up in the computer system.
Oh my goodness.
If they had sound checked with a live band, I'm just saying it probably would have been over in about an hour.
Sure.
So I didn't have a sound check, and I decided that in front of 2,000 people at the State Fair that I was going to lead a hand clap to play the jingle. So I get the whole crowd clapping in time, and I sing the first verse, and then I hit the first chord on the guitar, and I'm a whole step below the song.
No. Sweet.
Terrible planning on my part to not just hit the chord first and then start singing.
Right.
Just a real learning experience, because I actually said to the crowd, hey, you guys keep clapping. I'm in the wrong key. Hold on. Let me start over. But I humanized myself, I suppose, because I wasn't playing to a track.
Well, you know what? You're staying down to earth.
Authentic. That should be one of the subjects of our future essays.
Authentic fame.
Authenticity.
Artisanal fame. Handcrafted. Hand aged.
That's going to be a really interesting essay. We should do it on the crafting of authenticity and artisanal fame.
Oh boy.
Artisanal fame will be good.
I would probably have to have some enemies then. Some enemies that might be kind of private and self-concocted by my own ego issues. They would have to become real,
which are legendary.
They are legend. I have had some legendary knockout, battle of the bands in my brain. I have. I've always won.
Of course, why wouldn't you?
I know. I mean,
Let's listen to your essay and talk
Okay.
more about, because I have a feeling that maybe you did something completely different.
I don't know if it's that different. We'll find out.
Okay.
Are you belching up kombucha?
Kombucha burps.
Kombucha belch. It's like it was some sort of honey extract. Probiotic belching. Is that how the probiotic works?
Feeds my tapeworm.
Ooh. A noiseless patient spider. I marked where on a little promontory it stood isolated, marked how to explore the vacant, vast surrounding. It launched forth filament out of itself, ever unreeling them, ever tirelessly speeding them. And you, O my soul, where you stand, surrounded, detached in measureless oceans of space, ceaselessly musing, venturing, throwing, seeking the spheres to connect them, till the bridge you will need be formed, till the ductile anchor hold, till the gossamer thread you fling catch somewhere, O my soul. Walt Whitman. Like the spider spinning the web to catch sustenance, we spin our own webs, only they're really networks. When I was young, I was constantly in the presence of a famous person. No matter where my family traveled, this larger-than-life celebrity would always be recognized. It was my father, who taught microbiology at Harvard Community College. He was famous. When we were in Disneyland one summer, standing in line for Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, someone came up and said, "Hey, Floyd, how's it going?" And once, when he was on a trip with my mother overseas, someone recognized him in a restaurant and chatted him up. Most family vacations were punctuated with a Floyd sighting. It became a kind of a joke. Just one of those things, you know? Small world, right? It's not a small world. It's a large network. A network my father spent 45 years building through teaching, reaching thousands and thousands of people. And in doing that, he certainly achieved local and regional fame. Likewise, I suppose. When I was beginning the divorce process in 2013, I decided that I needed to get out of Baltimore and reestablish my center. I thought, Westminster will take me back. And on my first official day back, I headed out of the door of my apartment, went down the street to grab a beer, and after I walked one block, someone yells across the street, "Oh, hey, June Star, when are you playing again?" I hadn't been in Westminster for 7 years. Man, Westminster really loves me. As we consider fame and success, I cannot truly speak about national fame. It is so vast that, although yes, the connections that famous artists make with an audience through their work is strong, it is one way. The audience is affected by the song or image, but they do not know the artist, nor will probably ever meet this person. And even if they did, it would be in some sort of engineered meet and greet with all the pressure of meeting a star, and that meeting under duress would not connect the artist and fan on any real deep level. There will always be measureless space between the world of the artist and the fan on a national level. That vast space is why I think local fame is the best fame. Being recognized where I live or in the circles closer to me are the most important. To me, it boosts my confidence, challenges me to take risks, and allows me to have actual conversations rather than anonymous comment battles on a social media page. Most importantly, though, the local and regional type of shows and relationships are opportunities to share in real time rather than put songs on display. And fortunately, I will never be so famous that I wouldn't be able to meet and know the people who like my music. I know that my music has reached people all over the world, and that's great. And one day, I'd love to play for those people. Until then, I'll just keep putting out filament, filament, filament.
Okay.
All right, we're back.
Wow, your essay was great.
You don't mean that.
I do mean. Look at my face. It's full of meaning.
Incredulous.
You're my enemy.
She just she narrowed her eyes down to like just mere slits, and when she said enemy, there was this flash of red in her pupils. I'm just saying.
And a little flush to my cheeks.
Yep. And, oh, hold on. Yeah.
We have to move a cat off the mixing board.
We have Mig alert.
Okay. I thought it was great, and I think.
Did you know that if Mig had kittens, they'd be called Miglets?
Okay, stop. People are not here with us, Grim. They can only hear us. They can't see that you are
kissing my cat,
making out with Mig. He's very cute. Okay, pay attention.
Yes, I'm paying attention.
Because it takes me a long time to concentrate and focus. Sometimes decades. I appreciate our chemistry because I honestly think that you are such an optimist and I am so cynical, and it's really good for me to be around you because listening to you, I was just like, yeah, good for him. Like, got a shout out on the street, and it made him think about like the personal touch, the intimacy that you get from people recognizing you in a positive way. And that's I think at the end of my essay I was trying to talk about that. Like, I didn't embrace the height, and now I am. And I look back at that campaign and think, why didn't I embrace that, even that little bit of local notoriety? And it's not that I'm actively like trying to get away from it. It's just that I think there's something in me that cannot relax and enjoy it.
No,
and I'm trying to learn. I feel like I have to learn that, which is really strange.
Well, what does it actually mean to even enjoy that? I mean, when we talk about enjoying things, like it's not like it's a sandwich, you know. It's not like it's not like it's a leisurely day in the park with friends.
Yeah.
You know, binge drinking until you black out.
It is something a little more complex because if you're in your own world and you're just going about your day and then somebody comes up to you and shifts you into that performance mode, it is definitely, I mean, don't you feel like you shift into, I definitely feel like I get friendlier in that moment than I might. That's not true. I'm a pretty friendly person on the street, but in my house, I am all about creating enemies.
Oh my goodness. She's making enemies with dust. She's making enemies with antiquated technology. Yes. She's making enemies with vinyl. Was it your couch has issues, doesn't it?
My couch is my enemy.
Yeah, it is. It's a very long couch.
It's 8 feet.
Wow.
It's also my friend. It's my frenemy.
It's not even a couch. It's a couch. You got to get that extra couple feet in there.
Okay, why are we talking about my couch?
I don't know.
My couch is not famous.
But well, it's your couch is featured on the cover of Mountain Halo.
That couch?
That couch.
Oh yeah, that couch is. I can never get rid of it now.
Yep. Well, you know what? On the next time I put out a solo record, we can put that couch up for auction, and it comes with a free download card.
$10.
I'll sell anything. Maybe we can auction it. It'll be like that Da Vinci that just went for $450 million.
480. Wait.
No, it was 450.
Was it?
It was $450 million.
Million dollars. So you feel that your fame coming, it was a welcome. You were welcomed back into the bosom of local fame in Westminster.
Yeah, it was like I own the town. I could do whatever I want. I just started walking into shops and taking things, and nobody said anything to me.
You're like, that's June Star.
They're like, oh, June Star's here. Oh, my raw, unbridled power of celebrity.
You had 2 to 3 free beers at Kona's.
Well, that's just because I walked out. At Kona's, yeah, down at Kona's, you can get yourself a Natty Boo and some chicken wings for like $5.
You also said in your essay, that was not an edit, folks. I just jumped in.
That's right.
And tried to bring us back to the subject.
Right, because our chemistry is so lame.
No, it's good. You also talked about how you don't desire national fame because you feel that would strip you from the opportunities that having regional or local recognition give you.
Well, yeah. What's the point in having national fame? What's the point in having international global super fame? I mean, you can, yeah, sure, there's money involved, right?
Well, and also the idea of having influence.
You would have influence and you would have access, right? But I just don't know if that's really. I have all the influence I need.
Okay.
I have all the influence that I need right now, and it's in the Tom Petty documentary. Was it Tom Petty documentary? No. I'm sorry. I take it back. The Wilco documentary. I'm Trying to Break Your Heart. David Frick says that it doesn't matter. The compact disc doesn't matter, which I think is. I don't agree with, but he said it's the content that matters, and if the songs are there and the songs are good, people are going to hear it. And I always thought that was an interesting way of looking at it. Like, it might take a while for my music to get there, but yeah. I've had people from Europe and England, and people there's some people in Japan and who have bought my records and stuff, and it's like people all over the U.S. and I've had little chats with those people and stuff like that, but it wasn't that important that it was famous. It was just important that they got that.
Yeah.
And I don't depend on it, and I don't think like, oh, this is going to be a national super hit. Like the next June Star record that comes out in late April of 2018. I think it's going to be a really great record. I don't know if everybody's going to hear it, but I also don't care a whole lot if people are going to hear it.
But I think that's part of the frustrating shift that we have to make is that not the not caring that people don't hear it, but that people hearing it actually used to be a source of revenue and income and support, and that is no longer true. So how do we navigate that?
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
So now you have to reconcile in your lifestyle as a working musician of how you are going to continue to indulge the impulse to create, whether somebody hears it or not.
Right.
Put the effort into promoting it, trying to tell people about it, and get other people to share it with other people that they know, which is really the only way I think that, like everyone's a gatekeeper now.
Sure. Everyone is a gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really cool turn of phrase.
Yeah. Every single person. And it's not just these big, companies anymore that are doing it and have access to that. Everyone has access to it, which is democratizing, but it also means that a lot of stupid crap gets through because
yeah, because you are not your brother's keeper, you are your own keeper at that point. Well, and there was something that you just said that I wanted to jump on as well, and I can't remember. I had it and now it's gone, but
it's talking about gatekeepers,
promise keepers, finders keepers, Jeepers Creepers 2.
Where'd you get those peepers?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You remember that Susie Sue?
Susie and the Banshees. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a sexual awakening for me.
Sweet.
Well, she was all wearing bondage stuff in that video.
Yeah.
Yeah. Phew. Well.
Sexual thunder shirt.
Those guys are great. I saw them in 2006 with Pope Nope. They were really good.
At the Disney Pleasure Club?
At the Disney Pleasure Club, that's right.
Dundalk.
In Dundalk. Oh.
We veered off the topic. We were talking about gatekeepers.
No, I know. I was just trying to remember what it was. It was a very it was a cogent argument that I had.
It'll come back to you.
It will, because if it was meant to be, it'll show back up. But yeah, like the whole local stuff and like thinking about like, it always, I find that we kind of talk in sort of circles in these podcasts where we could just kind of come back to like, well, it's just about the song, or it's just about like, feeling satisfied with what you do. And I don't ever get tired of that argument, because I think that's exactly what it is. I don't know if I don't need to reassure myself, but when you talk to, when people ask the question of why aren't you famous, and then you start thinking about like, well, yeah, boy, if I were really into it, I would have a booking agent, I would have a manager, I would have a stylist, I would have a sound person, I would have a, it would be Team Andrew.
Yeah.
And I associate that with like, Team Taylor and Team Katy Perry, and those are I don't want to be anywhere near any of those people, because quite frankly, I don't think they can write. I don't agree with the records that they put out. I mean, it's like it's institutionalized food.
Yeah. No, I was going to bring up the food metaphor that it's
You
sort
know,
of like watching meat get ground.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, whatever. That's great. And but when the moment you start surrounding yourself with people like that, they start telling you what you should do and how you should do it. Oh, well, you don't want to do that. You want to do this. Yeah, you want to do that. I was like, well, to me, the brief time that we were on a label, the guy who ran the label made a suggestion that, like, we needed to lose weight, and we needed to, like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't consider myself an overly attractive man to begin with, and let alone, like, I mean, I want to go to the gym and I want to do those things, but I don't want to do that because I want people to like my music.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. Most people who listen to my songs are never going to meet me. They'll see a picture on the internet or a YouTube video. I mean, why do I have to worry about my 6-pack abs and all that other stuff? I mean, because I had an 8-pack. I dropped a couple packs because
they're heavy.
It's the wintertime. You got to put on a little weight to keep yourself warm.
It is like watching something really gross get made.
Yeah.
And I think that participating in that would feel really, I feel like with my sense of cynicism, it would make me bitter even faster.
He wouldn't just be a doll; it would be like a sex doll.
Ew,
well, I'm just saying.
No,
because it's hyper. We live in this overly hypersexualized world that everything is, everything has got to be. Everyone's a porn star, and everyone, and.
But they're selling this weird version of sex that is so like, it just looks so plastic. Like when I think about, so let's talk about sensuality here, because really that's what you and I are in the business of. We are in the business of sensuality.
Yeah.
You are. And when he says, I'm not a good looking guy, screw that. You're a good looking guy and you know that. You have confidence you are confident in your look.
Okay.
And that is attractive. Mm-hmm. Right?
Sure. I'm attracted to me all the time.
You look in the mirror and you're like, you are a confident guy.
Whoa. This is why I'm late to everything.
Wait, what was I talking about? Damn it, your attractiveness distracted me.
See? Still got
sensuousness.
it.
Sensuousness.
Sensuousness, yes.
I definitely have thought about that as the focus of my writing and performance over the last couple of years, because if I can be calm and feeling sensuous about the music in that it's sensory and that it is a physical act, it's intimate, it's shared. There are, of course, boundaries that I have established during shows for myself and for the audience.
Right.
But that there's a revelation, and that's part of it, is that when songwriters like us who are very lyric based and are writing things from an emotional core are revealing something that is meant to touch other people, to touch them.
Ooh.
And so my point is that when you listen to music, like, people aren't necessarily listening to Katy Perry for like a sensuous experience. They're looking for a pop experience, and that's exactly what they're getting. And also that is,
well, that's why the visual is so sensual. Let me put that in air quotes. Sensuous.
it's not sensuous, though. It's sexualized, and there's a difference to that. Yeah. Like, to me, that's the difference between making love and also just like this is purposely, it's exercise. We're just exercising with genitals involved, Whereas when there's a sensuousness to approaching somebody with your sexuality, then there's like, there's consent, first of all, but then there's also like, that's what makes it interesting, passionate, and also rapturous, and the way that you feel about music sometimes when you have that. I'm sure you've listened to a song before where you have had a physical response to it. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking about goosebumps, okay?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
But you know what I mean? Where
Sure.
your skin reacts to it because a line just crossed the wires of your brain or struck the chords of your soul or whatever beautiful metaphor.
Well, Emily Dickinson said, I know it's poetry when it takes the top of my head off.
Yeah.
And that's, that's what, you hear a song and you hear lyrics. I mean, to me, it's like, it's if something stops me from breathing for a second.
Yeah.
I mean, my heart's still going. It's not like, if I have a tiny heart attack, I know it's a good song. I go through several cardiac arrhythmias a week.
That's a hit in my world.
That's right.
But
somebody hit me with the paddles, please, because I'm... But it's like one of those things where you're just like, to me, it's like the internal gasp, but like, oh...
And the instant jealousy of like,
wow.
I wish I had written that, or why didn't I had that thought, and why couldn't I phrase it? And it's very exciting, which is also part of sensuality. And then to achieve, to enter into the realm, which there's a little bit of probably fear I can't speak for you, but there's fear-based reaction on my own part, which is why I wrote that essay the way I did, is that there's a fear of stepping into that realm, that your sensuality is going to get completely commodified and co-opted by people who are analyzing it and saying, if we present even just like a little bit of this sensuality as a sexual thing or as a marketable thing or commercialized, it's going to make everyone here be able to have money.
Right.
And it's the bastardization of your original goal, or
the prostituting of it.
Yeah.
Because that's what it becomes. It becomes kind of like a sensuousness for hire.
Yes, but
although that's not sensuousness. Maybe.
No, I mean, like, that's a whole different experience because, and for the record, prostitution should be decriminalized immediately and should be referred to as sex work because it's work and they should have unions, in my opinion. But
I don't, ladies and gentlemen, I don't necessarily disagree with Ellen Jerry. I just think it's funny when she goes down this route.
I just feel like for me, on a personal level, the word prostitution is loaded.
Sure.
Yeah. And so, like, when I hear it, I'm just like, well, is that really what we're doing?
I also want to point out that whenever I bring up my cousin Donnie, she doesn't want to talk about that. But if I bring up the idea of sex, that's all she talks about. So I'm just, when you recognize that pattern, it's like, okay.
Okay.
So cousin Donnie's not sexy. That's fine.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, you haven't seen him in his. He's got some of them speedo bikini briefs. It's got a British flag on them. What is it called? The Union Pack. He's got that going on.
Oh God.
Okay, so, well, we're getting. This is not the longest podcast, but we are speeding things along because we're recording 2 episodes in one day. So, any final thoughts on my essay there, Ellen Jerry, as we redirect?
I'm glad you're back in Westminster where you can be in the open arms of your sensuous recognition and admiration and adulation. But I wish it wasn't so far away from Baltimore.
Reunited. It feels so good.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've come to any conclusions necessarily, but just that we both have thought about the ways that we have sort of achieved it, either intentionally or unintentionally, and that it brought us different reactions. And I honestly, I don't know if it's an age thing for me that I finally have reached an age where I'm just like, who cares about that? And I'm starting to shed which is why I want more enemies, because I'm just like, why do I care that I don't have any enemies? Maybe I should just go ahead and have some.
Right. Sure.
Do they have a social media app for enemies only?
Ooh, we'll find out, won't we?
Right.
Yeah.
So today's song we're going to listen to and feature that we think should be famous is an artist that is Baltimore-based. Her name is Jasmine Pope, and her band is J Pope and the Here Now. I know Dan Samuels, who's the percussionist. I don't think I know any of the people in the band. I've done a couple of gigs with J Pope. She's incredible. She's an amazing performer. And I was reading on their website last night that they are a collective of teachers and educators and healers and people who are interested in having their music be an extension of that idea. And so their lyrics are generally about social issues. And the one we are going to listen to, I just actually forgot the title of it. I'm going to look it up really quickly. Or maybe.
So you really wanted to be famous, huh?
Oh, come on. Give me a break.
Mm-hmm.
I am just as busy as you. Not really. I'm not busy at all, folks. Please give me some gigs. Let Them Come. And it's from their new album that came out this summer, and it is available on their Bandcamp page. And I will put that in the link when we post it. So you're going to listen to Let Them Come by J Pope and the Here Now.
Longer, the battle is getting warmer. Let them come, let circle round in my red sky. Fly ashes and swear dashes. The discourse is no more. We passing on to another dawn, similar to past lives. If you knew your history, then you could probably transcribe what's happening down to the millisecond. The revolution's a revolution is ever present. Steady on the constant stream. The only thing that ever changes is the hues on the screen. The same scenes come through on the local news. Ain't the German shepherds now, it's the principals and the pastors too, and the local crew, and the mother, cousin, grandmother closest to you. They got a whole generation of some new strange fruit, thinking they models for a birthright down where that light's bright. Well, let 'em come, let 'em come, let 'em come, man. Let 'em come, let 'em come, let 'em come, man. Let 'em come, let 'em come, let 'em come for me. So let 'em come, let 'em come, let 'em come, man. Let 'em come, let 'em come, let 'em come, man. You let 'em come, let 'em come, let 'em come for me. Just let them come. Just let them come for me. We looking at our leaders like, who the fuck elected you? Acting like the enemy, man, that's just what the power do. All the checks and balances haven't been adding up. Considering the fact is these actors are runners up for the longest running show in the history of time. With class climbing to the bottom, they're keeping us blind. My only focus in this world is trying to go for mine, yo. I hope you get yours. Good luck. I need more and more and more and more and more of all the shit that don't matter. Fill me up, son. I had to get my glass house shattered to realize the magic trick. Right scattered, the fight's on. We about to get down. We about to get down. We about to get down. So we about to get down. So we about to get down. So we about to get. Posturing and threatening and questioning my right to be man. Well, let them come for me and my people and watch the upheaval rain down. Just let them come. Can't stand in the shadows much longer. The battle is getting warmer. Let them come. Let them come. Just let them come for me.
So that was. Wait, did I start?
No, it started.
Okay.
It actually starts 4 beats in the measure. It just doesn't show it.
Oh, gotcha.
It's weird.
It is weird.
That's odd.
So that was J Pope and the Here Now playing their track "Let Them Come" from their new album that came out this summer. What did you think of it? Since I think that was the first time. Maybe that was the first time you heard it.
That was the first time I've heard it. I've seen J Pope's name around in the now defunct City Paper and then Wind Up Space stuff and things like that.
Yeah.
It's got this. It's equal parts. The first word I think I should use. There's depth. There's so much. There's so much that I have a hard time kind of relating to or speaking accurately about the subject matter, and she's singing from experience and change and revolution and resistance, and if anything, it's a declaration of identity.
Yeah, that's why I like it. Yeah.
There's this idea of, and when I say that, I don't, being the duly designated white male in the room, but the identity.
Don't worry, listeners. There's only one in the room.
That's
I
right.
can handle it.
Well, Meg's a white male. He's very lazy, white lazy male. But she, when I write about identity, it's a different type of identity that happens or whatever, and there's authenticity when I'm doing, and when I talk about depth. For her, the second word I was going to use is, there's an aggressiveness to it that is not, I don't want to say aggressive, but she is speaking with authority and conviction, and that could be translated as aggressive, but I don't think aggressive is a negative term to use with it, because this is claiming, it sounds like claiming something that should have never been lost in the first place. And so therefore, you can hear the frustration, but you can also hear the resilience and the if I could say even optimism in that positivity or and at the same time the irony, the situational irony or verbal irony of it is that the refrain is let them come. Like, okay, you want this, well, we're here. You deny that we're here, but we're here. And and it's this acknowledgement, I suppose, as well. I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but definitely a cool song. Like, and I need to hear more stuff like that because I don't get out much to to listen to much music.
Well, J Pope is also part of this. Not that she's part of this, but I observed this in the Baltimore music scene that I started listening to a band called Talking Points about 3 or 4 years ago when I had my webcast, and I had been going to the Out of Your Head nights at the Wind Up Space, which was this improvisational jazz collective that had like 20 different members, and 4 different people would get together every other Tuesday. I think that's the format. Somebody can correct me on that. But it was interesting because it was improvisational free jazz, which I don't really enjoy all that much because I like a motif, and that's okay. I don't understand it. It doesn't appeal to me. But there's a couple of bands that I felt I finally heard about through that experience that were taking and combining improvisational and melodic rock together, and sort of like this idea of math rock. And Talking Points does that really well. Dan Samuels was in this band with Brooks Long, and I'm gonna mess up their band name. No Good Mad Dog. No Good Mad Dog.
Yeah, the No Good Mad Dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I met Dan, and I started looking around at whatever, and then I saw him play with J Pope, and just hearing her voice, and on the shows that I've seen her perform at, she has incredible control, and she's speaking with authority from an experience that I don't have any experience with, and that's why it's so fascinating to me, because I feel like when I experience her performance, it's one of those ones where I'm just like, this is how you step back and listen. And the idea of what you were talking about with the let them come is like, yes, it shouldn't have been taken in the first place, but now that we've regained this ground, we are standing here and you can come at us because we are ready for you now. Right. And that defiant attitude that a lot of people, especially with institutional racism or sexism, are like, well, why now? And it's like, because this, not only have you backed us into this corner, now we're finally regaining ground. Right. And we're not going to give up any bit of it. Paula, I think her name's Corbia. She's the attorney for Lee. I'm going to mess up her name too. Korfman. She's one of the accusers of Roy Moore. And I think that's the name of the lawyer. And she had this wonderful quote. I wrote it down in my diary, which was that you will not benefit from our silence again. And I thought that is such a great, just simple phrase that, yes, all these structures, capitalism, people have exploited people who haven't had power have been forced to be silent. It's not like they chose to be silent, but now there's not going to be the benefit of that silence anymore. At least we can have that. We can be loud. We can keep talking. We can keep hashtagging. We can keep revealing stories. And when I listen to her music, there's that in the lyrics, but also how interesting the music itself is. I love Esperanza Spalding and the way that she plays with time, and this band does that too. And it is not antithetical to the progression of her lyrical story. Or even her delivery. Yeah. Because she switches up, the stress on Let Them Come several different ways. Yeah. So and in parts of the song she's singing with her beautiful voice, and then other times she's rapping, and her rapping style reminds me of Salt and Pepper. And it feels familiar and wonderful, but not a throwback or reductive in any way. It's just like, it's a nice, that's why I think it should be famous. Sure. Yeah. Well, weren't we in Columbus listening to Shoop? Maybe. Maybe it was Columbus, I think it was. Ohio. It was Columbus, yeah. Oh God, what a great song. Yeah. Anyway, so back to ourselves. Yes, back to us. We are going on tour. Yeah, we are. It's starting to shape up. It actually is starting. We might actually get some gigs on this one and not have to do a cyber tour. Right. Yeah, the dates are starting to fill in. Yeah.
March 21st is looking like Chapel Hill will most likely happen.
Great.
I'm still kind of like getting. It's one of two venues.
It looks like the 17th in Chicago is probably going to happen.
17. No,
18th.
that's the 10th.
10th. Sorry, the 10th.
17th is St. Patrick's Day, which is unfortunate. Because I sent you that text and I said, Nashville is on St. Patrick's Day, which of course I don't really recognize as a big Irish town.
That is the funniest thing, because when you sent that text, I went to the internet because you said something about Nashville is on St. Patrick's, or it's something about it's on St. Patrick's Nashville, and I was just like, so I Googled like St. Patrick's Music Club Nashville. I was like, where's that? And now I realize that you were not talking about that.
You better bring your shillelagh to that, because my cousin Donnie, he plays a mean shillelagh.
Chicago's looking good for March 10th with Steve Dawson doing a show with him. And then this show that we're talking about at this podcast is Lawrence, Kansas.
Yes.
The next day we're going to hustle our way to Lawrence, Kansas.
Yes.
Lawrence is such a cool town. I haven't been there in years.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I was there 2 years ago.
Lawrence, Kansas people, hit us up.
Yeah, as Andy Bob says, center of the universe.
Oh, man.
Lawrence, Kansas. So
what are we talking about on our next podcast?
Next podcast is the physical whatever of fame.
Because we didn't talk about sensuous enough.
That's right, sensuousness. Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, it is getting warm in here.
So take off all your clothes.
See. This is not how I thought things would go.
Mom, don't worry, Mom.
Yeah, Dad, it's okay. I'm working through it.
So, where can we find your extensive non-famous catalog?
Oh yeah, my you can find it at JuneStar.
JuneStar.com.
I remember the point I wanted to make earlier. Okay. I'm going to make it now because here we are.
Yeah. When
we were talking about reaching out and like people and fans and stuff like that, and like you don't make any money off the national stuff or whatever. I was thinking, I was like, yeah, but that's the whole purpose behind my subscription service. Was to be able to get people to listen to everything that I've ever done, and like they're paying a monthly fee or whatever, but I want to have actual dialogue with these people.
Yeah, I
want to that's the best way to hear my stuff, but it's also the best way to like let's have a conversation. Let's email, and if you're local, let's grab a cup of coffee or whatever or something. It's kind of, I'm single,
Maybe we should do it like politicians, where we should be like
a town hall meeting.
Hey guys, I'm going to be at Zeke's Coffee today, and you should come over at noon if you want to talk to me about music or life or whatever. I'll be there for an hour. Right.
And we can roll up our sleeves on our white collar shirts and act like we're of the people.
Hold a microphone incorrectly where you're talking into the side of it.
Right. Why does my voice sound like it's in a tin can?
And then you hold it down by your butt, and you're like, oh, wait, sorry.
Ooh, check it out.
No, because you forget anyway.
Yeah, well, whatever. So anyhow, you can find my stuff at junestar.com, also junestar.bandcamp.com, and you can subscribe for $5 a month. New Junestar record is going to come out in April of 2018. It's mastered. It sounds great, and
I can attest to that.
Yep. She can. She's heard the record. Not all of the record.
Intriguing.
I know. Well, we'll find out later what that means. And where can people find your tidbits of sensuousness?
My tidbits of sensuous online are at ellencherry.com, and you can find me. I never get this address right, but I'm going to try ellencherry.bandcamp.com.
That is correct.
And I also have a subscription service. Mine's only $4 a month.
Oh, you're underselling me.
Well, I am underselling you, but the reason I did that is I was only offering 2 special items per month, and I wanted it to be like $2 a pop. But it's the only way that you can currently listen to the audio essays that I've created centering around my car wreck. And I've done 10 of them so far, and that's a subscriber exclusive only offering, as well as 2 old albums and then everything new that I create.
Right. And on my subscription site, you can get I post essays about Ellen Cherry's essays about her car wreck.
It's very
and how
meta.
how I've had to hear about it for the past 4 years.
It's not for you to tell me when I'm supposed to be done with it.
That's true. It isn't.
I don't know why I stumbled over that. What I meant to say is, are we enemies now?
We are enemies. All right. So long, enemy.
See you next time, enemy. The next episode, we'll see you soon, is about physical.